floor is yours.
I really love the question about putting out a newsletter, because when I was a supervisor, I had a very robust newsletter that went to about 15,000 people. And then when I left, I gave my whole list to Scott Wiener, which I thought was a good thing, because I wanted him to keep it up. And I didn't, I didn't want to be weird about it. So he inherited my list. But I think it is something that I would do at BART as well, to communicate, because, as you said, like, there's certainly a lot of things to be unhappy about BART with. And I think communicating to people what change is going to come. And maybe it's the perfect start to say that this is a really important year, because I think that in San Francisco we can vote for a bond to make about $3.5 billion in investment in our system. And BART's 42 years old. It really has not done a good job of reinvestment. We see how corroded the infrastructure is, the impact on things. The train control system dates to 1968. When I was a supervisor, used to be Muni had the oldest one, and it was up in West Portal, and this is a crowd that at least will understand the reference, but it was like Flash Gordon. They were like vacuum tubes, and they would take, I would say, well, where do you get your supplies from? And they say, oh, other properties call us when they discard them and get new systems, and then we just go and rummage through them. And,
Recycle.
Yeah, that's the best way to put it. Okay, thank you. Talk about PR. So, things like the screeching that you hear. So the bond is going to allow for a second grinder to grind, the tracks, and to not make it so noisy. And then the big thing with the train control system is it will have 36% higher traffic on an hourly basis, being able to go through the tube between the East Bay and San Francisco. So that's really my priority, is to go in and hopefully see this bond passed. It has to have a 2/3 vote, but the good news is it doesn't have to be 2/3 in Contra Costa, Alameda, and San Francisco. Cumulatively, it has to be 2/3. So I think in San Francisco, we'll really see how the core has just crumbled over these past 42 years, that hopefully we can get a much higher vote so that it balances out if it's a closer call in Contra Costa. So I worked in the transit business for 14 years. I started out my career working on Capitol Hill for legislation to rebuild the LA Metro system, and so I then went and worked 4 years in the LA Metro agency, and so I have a lot of experience with things that BART is doing, like rail car procurement and things of that sort. But as you said, I'm not a mystery to you, and I think people call me the pothole supervisor. People know I'm a nuts and bolts kind of person, which I like. But the stations that are in my district are really in horrible shape. It's like Powell Street, Civic Center, 16th Street. I mean, the amount of people that are living in those stations that have just been relegated to live there. The crimes, somebody was just stabbed in the station 2 nights ago at Civic Center. And I think I'm going to have a station plan for every station. When I was a supervisor in Glen Park, there were a lot of problems with the connectivity of Muni to the station and accessibility. You see people running across, Diamond and Bosworth streets in very unsafe ways. I went and worked with Tom Lantos, who was a congressman at the time, and got $4.4 million to redo elements of that station to make it safer. And so the additional stations I have, Glen Park and Balboa, I want to plan for every station. I mean, when you don't have elevators, that means your system's not accessible to people. And I think that going forward, when you look at carbon tax, when you look at what Hillary Clinton's talking about in terms of investing in infrastructure, I'm someone who's been out there and gotten resources from Washington, and we need to go, and we should be subsidizing. So many people that we all know at this table have been displaced from this city and are living in far-flung communities like Antioch. They're still working in San Francisco, but all of a sudden they're spending, $4 and such each way just to get to work, and that's an impact. And we should be subsidizing individuals that are transit dependent, lower moderate income people, to help them. And so I'm just really excited. The other candidate, I don't know if you've already met with Latifah Simon, but in the neighboring district of District 7, Latifah is an outstanding candidate. We worked together when she worked for Kamala Harris, and I think that San Francisco has an opportunity to send 2 very strong directors. We have both endorsed each other. We're so excited to work together. Labor management relations are not what they should be at BART. I've been endorsed unanimously by the San Francisco Labor Council, unanimously by the San Francisco Building Trades, and I've been endorsed by all 3 BART unions, SEIU, AFSCME, and ATU. And that's because I'm going to go, and I respect I respect people who work in public service. I will know the station agents at BART like I know them at Muni, and know the operators, and not see us get into the situation that we saw back in 2013.
So you're at 5 minutes.